Oh, God.
Something herniated.
You may want to call your physician. Also, we are Murder Moose, a horror podcast, part of the Slash and Cast podcast network.
It's in the game.
I'm doing the two like the NWO thing.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah, there's that.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it? Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Dude, I have to tell you, I went paddleboarding yesterday and got burnt to shit.
Oh my God, you did. Jesus.
I must have noticed a little something going on back there. Yeah.
I must have missed.
Have you heard of this thing called sunscreen?
Yeah, that's the fucked up part. I must have sprayed badly and missed spots and yeah.
It looks like you did.
And then Gizmo kicked me in the face this morning and scratched me. I just look like I'm in an abusive relationship. I got red marks all over me. My face is all cut up. I won't do it again. I'm sorry. Can be bitch slapping me and putting me in my place.
That's right. Shut your fucking mouth. I mean, you're doing such a great job.
You do what I tell you, bitch. That's how Ken treats me. She's like, Rod, I'm gonna smack the shit out of you. And I mean, if anyone deserves to be smacked,
so.
I mean, if anyone's gonna be smacked this week, it should be Ken because this is all her fault. This is all her fault.
All I said was we should maybe do Tusk sometime. And now it's my fault that we all had to sit through this shit.
Yeah, I mean, you should have never said.
You should never.
Said numerous times we don't have to do this.
No, it's Ken's like that high school boyfriend that's like pressuring his girlfriend to do it, and he's like as he's sliding his dick in, we don't have to do this. Oh, and it's already too late. Ken, the cock is in the vagina. We've already done it.
Anything you don't want to do.
We might have to finish, but that's just like the blowjob at the beginning of this movie. Ken is like. You don't have to do this.
Blowjob?
I mean, yeah, duh.
That's awesome. I'll take it.
I mean, you play a game called Rim Job every day, so.
I will have you know that as of Monday, which is tomorrow, so the podcast will have already been out, I'm swapping to Oxygen Not Included.
I saw that, and I don't know what that means. All I know is that that's another one of those games that I think people get really worked up about. I don't know. The only thing about Rim Job that I like I like having an avatar that goes and creates chaos. That's all I like. I mean, but
you can have it in Oxygen Not Included too.
As well, yeah, you can create
more chaos.
It's like Lemmings, but much more entailed, I guess.
Dude, every time Tilly's been playing RimWorld for a long time. Every time I create a little guy in her game, like he creates a cult or does something insane, and then I always hear Ken yelling at my guy going, Rod the Cod is doing this, and then now the whole week it's been people laughing about Rod the Fish because I thought she was calling me a fish, and now because Ken that was the first thing she does Monday morning. I show up in the stream and Ken's like laughing like it was like a little kid who found out that they got the like Red Ryder BB gun they wanted for Christmas. It was like the happiest little kid in the world. Ken was like telling everyone about my silly mistake, and there were more people.
Okay.
What?
It was gold.
It was gold. Yes, it was. It made me laugh. Ken's community also makes me laugh, so it's all equates out to that. So, okay, since we have less time than usual, our ADHD. I'm just putting ADHD, and there's a lot of attention deficit before our hyperactive disorder. So, yeah. Okay, what have you guys been watching? What have you been doing?
I'm almost through Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
And I finished listening to the last of the A Court of Thorns and Roses books, and now I've started listening to the Empyrean books, even though I've already read them, and I'm reading Throne of Glass.
You might like this because I don't know if have you watched the Bridgerton shows like all the ladies seem to be obsessed with?
I watched a few episodes a while back.
Okay.
I don't know if maybe I need to dive back in and pick back up or what.
So I slightly talking to a new lady, not hopes up, but the whatever the world of this online dating is, and she's like, "Oh, I'm watching Bridgerton." I'm like, Isn't that show a little horny?" And she goes, "Yeah, it's basically just horny Jane Austen." I go, "Okay, okay, makes sense." It just made me laugh because of all the horny stuff you ladies are like. It's funny because like I feel like you used to like before TikTok and Instagram and shit. Like you would all used to hide that you were reading horny shit. Now you're just like horny. No, it wasn't even that. It was fucking 50 Shades. Wasn't 50 Shades the one that like I think
yeah, people read a lot of 50 Shades in public, but yeah, definitely now I'm just like it was really funny when I read the first one. I had posted on Twitter. I was like, "Oh, I'm so excited to finally dive in," and then I read it, and I was like, "That was smut," and I just promoted that I was reading smut. And you know what? I don't give a fuck. I'm reading the next one.
I mean, more smut. All the smut. That's cool. How many episodes of Game of Thrones do you have left?
I think 2.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy,
Dude, you went through all
the
that.
last season so far.
Did you see this? Did you see the Starbucks cup? Did you see the?
You sound like literally every Game of Thrones fan I've ever met,
dude.
Every fucking one of them.
There's a lot of things that There's a lot of things that like I don't hate in that season, but like that whole episode where they're in the North Wall and like you can't see anything for like the entire episode, and then there's like.
I actually really liked that episode.
The episode wasn't bad. It was just I was like, why is it so dark?
It's wild that it's so dark considering how much they paid for that because, typically, like, we see it all the time with horror movies, right? Like, you do darker so you can save money. They spent $15 million on that one episode. So, because I immediately was like, how much did they spend on this? So it's wild to me that they made it so dark because you would think that they would want it to be visible.
Yeah. Yeah. Have either one of you guys started watching The Boys new season?
Not yet.
Oh, it's man. I don't. So they announced last week, I think it was, or the last couple weeks that they're only doing 5 seasons. So like next season is the last season. And I don't know what that means for all the other shit because obviously they have Gen V to spin off and all that stuff. So I don't know, but I really like that show, and I think I'm glad that they're gonna end it before it like jumps the shark.
Dies out.
Yeah.
Before it turns into a fucking caricature of itself and shit.
Before it turns into like fucking like something like Hannibal, where it's just like, oh, I don't know what we're doing. Would you say?
Valid.
I mean, I don't, dude. I still say that season, especially the last couple episodes where they do all the things that then they wrap it up. I'm just like, he had no fucking clue, and I've been saying he has no fucking clue for a while now because if you read the last 2 books he wrote, you go, this motherfucker has no idea what the fuck he's doing, and he kind of just shot some shit out to the Game of Thrones directors of his like the zoomed ending of after that, like, and you're just like, oh okay, he had no fucking clue because that ending, you're like, this doesn't make any fucking sense, but here we are, yay! So, what?
I don't know.
You say how dare you until you watch that last episode, and then you'll be like, how dare I? And yeah. So, Brian, you been watching anything there? You sexy fuck.
Just been watching my checking account diminish to fucking nothing.
No, you know what's diminishing to? Because I know your fucking record addiction, you crackhead. You were just like,
no.
you're like, oh, dude.
I do buy a decent number of vinyl, but
yeah.
No, I had a $15,000 surprise plumbing bill. So, yeah, I had to replace my main drain in the house. Yeah, $15,000. I'm like, ugh,
dude,
gross.
I thought of you,
so
Brian.
I worked yesterday. I worked some working voluntary overtime. I was like, well, okay.
I thought of you, Brian, because
savings account.
I saw the record for the soundtrack for Saltburn, and it's like It's because it's the coolest fucking record I've ever seen. Like it looks like water going down it. Like it's like water inside the record. It's probably not water, but like it's see through and the liquid moves around like it's going down a drain or something. I'm like, this is the wildest record I've ever seen, and I don't know. Yeah, it was. I think I tweeted out about it, but yeah, I think that I don't know if dude, I never went back and finished Hannibal. That last season, I was just like, yeah, and I just gave it. Yeah,
season.
I was like, this
I know
is just,
most people say that.
dude.
Yeah.
Every time, like, I have so
was
little.
obsessed with
Yeah.
that show too. And then,
Yeah.
nope.
Dude, I was like the first season. I watched the first season in like 2 days. Second season took like about a week because it's not as good. And the third season, it's just like, did you guys, either one of you watch this Scream show on MTV?
Yeah, I did.
It's like the first 2 seasons of that show are fucking fantastic, and then
They are, really.
the third season where they were like, oh, we're gonna keep going because they wrapped up the second season, and it's just like a completely separate story. I'm just like, I think I made it through an episode and a half. And never went back because it was like it's so bad.
I never watched any of that third season. The third season's where they completely.
It's like a new.
First 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's a
They
completely
made a
separate thing.
movie after the second season. Made
Did they?
a
I never saw that.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Is it?
It basically serves as a sequel to the second season.
Okay.
But yeah, it's pretty good. And season 3, I saw that it was. They actually like went back to Woodsboro, I think, and they used like actual Ghostface, if memory serves me correctly.
I think they did. Yeah, and
no.
Yeah, I was just like, this is not.
I enjoyed what Scream the series was doing. It was doing its own thing, and it was unique, and it was pretty cool. And honestly, I actually thought it could have been really, really good if they kept going with it. But no.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's the thing. I don't know, dude. As we're sitting there going, all this stuff that's like coming out, that's just like, I don't know. We have. What was it like? I don't know. Like we've talked about it a lot this year, and like most of the big movies have like really bombed, but some things have been doing well. Like Furiosa bombed. I never went and saw Furiosa. But something. What else just came out that's doing real well? I don't know.
Boys 4
Yeah, Bad Boys doing really good, and I'm just like, it's just like random things now. Like it's random things that do well. King Kong did well, and that did well, and it's looking like.
Deadpool and Wolverine's gonna do really good.
They're saying it's going to open it up to like 250 million
That's
first
what
weekend.
the
Yeah,
experts think, but I don't think it's gonna do that.
dude, they've sold tickets going to that mark. That's why they're saying that.
Yeah,
That's
I know. But it's all an estimation. Obviously, they haven't sold $200 million worth of tickets already.
I know that
They
they sold like a lot of tickets though. So
Oh yeah, they've sold a lot. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna quite hit that 200 million. That'd be pretty rad though.
Yep.
Really quick before we jump too far into the movie or anything, for those of you that were watching any of the Summer Games Fest stuff, Blumhouse announced their game department.
Yep.
And they have one game that's coming out this year called Fear the Spotlight, and there's a total of 6 games that they've got coming. Project C looks sick. Do you know who's working on it?
I
Cronenberg.
Yeah,
Oh,
I saw that. It's
Where's
David
Sam
Cronenberg.
Barlow?
They mentioned his name during.
Did her story.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I think that's a good game enterprise to go into because horror games generally are cheaper anyways.
Well, I like what they're doing. They're applying their approach to film making, and they're using the same formula. And they're going after basically small indie developers that want to get their games made, and they're giving them the money to do it, and they get to completely do it how they want to do it, and they get to see their full vision as best as they can possibly replicate it, put out there, and then it just does whatever it does. And that's typically how Jason Blum allows his movies and his filmmakers to make their movies. Pretty much just gives them complete control. It's like, do what do you want? I'll give you $5 million. Make this. If it's a piece of shit, it's a piece of shit. If it's not, it's not.
Yep. Well, I mean,
that they've announced so far are Fear the Spotlight, Crystal Theater of Idols. I probably butchered that. Grave Seasons, Project C, which is the Sam Barlow and Cronenberg project.
Cronenberg.
Sleep Awake, and The Simulation. And the cool thing is that they all look like completely different art styles, which I'm really stoked for. And like, some of these,
one of them looks like Stardew Valley.
Yeah,
like it's like a Stardew Valley looking. Yeah, I couldn't remember which one it was.
Which, if you've never played Graveyard Keeper,
Kin has played approximately 1 million hours of Graveyard Keeper. So
I have Graveyard Keeper. I started it and then I never.
Dude,
The first time I tried to play
never
it,
did more than start it.
Yeah.
The first time I tried to play it, I could not get into it. I tried, and then I tried again, and like actually stuck past the little story intro thingy, and then let people like backseat, and I got this really kick-ass spreadsheet, and I fell in love with it. I've got like 120 hours in it, and I still haven't technically beat it. I accidentally beat the game, and then I was like, no, back up, because like I'm also doing all the DLC, but like there's really only with the DLC like 40 hours of content, and I'm like, no, bitch, there's so much to do. Like I still could go back on that save and keep going and not have everything for at least another 20 hours.
I don't go after people, but you guys play games that I look at and I go, this is like work, but like in video game form. I want to do things that like, but who am I? I'm the maniac who was yelling at the end of Metal Gear Solid 2 on yesterday. So like, I mean, it's just, I'm a maniac myself, so I don't know what to tell you. I just, it's weird, and I'm weird, and
well, how many hours do you have in
the
Yakuza?
world don't move to the beat of just one drum, Rod.
No, it doesn't. I mean, how many hours do I have in Yakuza? That is like 13 games, Ken, and probably a lot. I think Pat
Probably
went and
a lot.
added up my hours, and it was like 400 or 500 hours or something like that.
I put months worth of hours into fucking Call of Duty Ghosts.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I used to do that all the time for the 360 era. I was like, I would be like playing them. I would take a day off of work and just sit there and play Call of Duty all day, like when it came out, like a fucking maniac. And I'm just screaming and yelling like a fucking madman. I don't do, yeah. I don't do that shit anymore. I don't do that shit anymore.
If I was to do that for FPS, it would be Hunt the Showdown.
Yeah, I remember playing that shit with you years ago.
That game.
That game was cool. Yeah. Okay. Are we gonna go talk about this shit show that is Tusk?
Can we just keep talking about video games?
No. We have to talk about Tusk. I paid $3.99 to watch this shit because I couldn't find it in any of our ways, and I just rented it on Apple iTunes.
I sent you a link right after you messed it.
I had already ordered it. It's okay. It's fine. It is what it is. Okay. Yeah. So we're talking about Tusk from what? 2011.
2014.
14. Okay.
14, yeah.
Okay, I want to say this because I was saying this to Brian before you got on, Ken. I actually think this movie is better than my first viewing of it, but there are such problems with it, and like just like the shit that just drives me crazy with this movie, and I remember it, is they just break the fucking tone of it like 3 or 4 times real bad, and it just takes you completely out of the movie. Anytime Johnny Depp is on screen, the movie's terrible. His fucking shitty accent. I'm like, this is like if Johnny Depp was in Pink Panther or something like that. Like those old, and it just fucking. There's a generally kind of decently creepy vibe anytime where it's Justin Long and fucking Walrus Man, but like anything with fucking Johnny Depp and the what?
Michael Parks.
Those two together are fucking fan. Michael Parks is creepy as shit, except when he has a scene with Johnny Depp and he goes, I'm gonna be Forrest Gump. My mama said that life is like. He plays. It's the whole line from fucking Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. You never go full. Yes, I'm not gonna say it. And I'm like. And combined with Johnny Depp's and then the weird music and everything, every time Johnny Depp's on screen, I'm just like.
So really quick, before we talk any more about Johnny Depp,
you read a synopsis?
The synopsis for Tusk is a brash and arrogant podcaster gets more than he bargained for when he travels to Canada to interview a mysterious recluse who has a rather disturbing fondness for walruses.
And walrus penises.
Yep.
And walrus penises. I think that I went in my first viewing of this movie and just was like determined I was gonna hate it and really did hate it. I don't think I hate this movie as nearly as much as I did the first watch, like I said, but man, what is your guys' opinion? Does Johnny Depp's tone fuck with you guys?
Yes.
Yep. I don't like this movie very much. The first time I watched it, I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
And then I watched it again, and I liked it a lot less. I liked
So,
it honestly excessively less.
so this is the thing I've noticed. When you really, really, really hate a movie the first time you watch it, like when you go in and your expectations are so fucking low that like you just think that it's easier to be like, I think that's how I'm a giant fan of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, because the first time I saw that movie in the theater, I fucking despised it. And then
Same.
I watched it a while back and I'm like, oh, I actually dig that shit out
It's
of the
really
movie.
not that bad. That
No,
movie's
it's
really not that bad.
it's a terrible Halloween movie as a horror.
Horrible Halloween.
Yeah, but as a weird Rob Zombie horror movie, it's fucking fantastic, and weird as shit.
There's redeeming qualities to that movie, just like there's redeeming stuff about this story,
Yeah.
this film as well. Like, Justin Long has a glorious mustache in this film,
Dude.
and it's easily the most entertaining thing in the movie.
Listen, you know what's really funny now that I think about it, just based off of something that you said at the beginning? Does it not feel almost like, because okay, I'm gonna say this, but keep in mind that Barbarian was one of my favorite movies,
Yeah,
and still is one of my favorite movies. It feels like
This is his
we
character.
tried to do Barbarian, and Barbarian. This did not work, so we tried again with Barbarian, and it stuck. But
It
Barbarian
almost feels like
was
they were like,
great.
they were like, hey, we really despise Justin Long's character in Tusk. What if he made it out of the walrus costume? But
They actually had ideas. They had thought of making a sequel where he was able to become a human again and then become the villain.
dude,
I just don't think they need to finish anything.
No.
In the True North
Well-
trilogy, honestly, because Yoga Hosers is even worse than this.
dude, Yoga Hosers might be one of the worst movies. Like that movie was so bad when I saw it. I was like, I was like, this is worse than Tusk. Like then also,
It's you know why it's worse than Tusk? There's more Johnny Depp in it.
yeah, and dude, I'm sorry. There's general problems with this film that you sit there and go, oh, it's just, you were like, you can obviously tell that it was just Kevin Smith being high and thinking stupid shit was fucking hysterical. The Nazi fucking podcast might have been funny as shit when you're high. After about the third time the Nazi joke gets fucking dropped in that movie, you're like, stop. This isn't funny.
It's like, dude, how did you logically as a collective come together and not realize that would be a bad idea? Nobody is out there like,
Well, dude,
Nobody's laughing at that.
and Yoga Hosers, he has dancing Hitler sausages. Like,
Dude, the
if you-
movie's so fucking stupid.
dude, it is, and it's just like they're like, oh, now we have Johnny Depp's daughter and Kevin Smith's daughter out. We could get more Johnny. I'm just, no, stop.
The only reason he makes those movies is because there are Kevin Smith fans, which I'm one. I actually am,
Yeah,
but I'm also realistic.
dude,
You know,
I say
and-
I say as soon as he started smoking weed again, his shit went downhill real bad.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
the thing that Kevin Smith had always done very, very, very well was dialogue.
yeah,
His movies had some of the funniest dialogue
Yeah.
you'll ever fucking hear. From Clerks to Mallrats to Chasing Amy to
even Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Yeah,
Dude,
speaking
yeah,
of
even
Clerks, the newest
Clerks.
Clerks made me cry like a
The newest Clerks
baby.
made me cry too. Yeah,
I am-
love all
I
three
didn't.
of
I
those
didn't even
movies.
watch Clerks 2. Well, like I think I watched Clerks 2 like years ago, but like I didn't
Mhm.
know a lot of the references.
Ken,
But there were so much things that like it just hit.
sometimes it's okay to go ass to mouth.
No.
Sometimes in the heat of the moment, it's okay to go ahead.
That's the whole
But,
fucking
But I
thing
command
from
these
Clerks
clips,
too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I
the
am
whole
click
movie.
commander.
Yeah, it's just
Click command.
I am the Click Commander. I was just about to say that, and then
Command all these clits.
the Jay and Silent Bob. I think Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back was my first Kevin Smith movie. I kid you not. So here we go. And yeah,
Well, that's the thing is that when you hear the Tusk defenders, because there are out there, obviously, it's kind of achieved like a cult status.
oh yeah,
They're all this. They all say the same thing, and they all probably have fucking Dante and Randall tattooed on their fucking back shoulders. But yeah, it's all Kevin Smith like fucking uber fans.
Yeah.
And
the Jack-Off party.
that genuinely don't believe that Kevin Smith has made a bad movie, and the problem is Kevin Smith's made many.
Oh yeah,
And,
dude.
some of those movies I still enjoy, but let's face it, like I'm sorry, like
Dude, have you seen
Cop
Cop Out?
Is
Dude,
a fucking awful movie. Now, with that being said, he did not write that movie.
Yeah.
Jersey Girl's fucking terrible.
I really didn't.
This is a fucking shit show.
I don't think I like
Tusk.
Chasing Amy as much as most
I
people
don't like
either.
Chasing Amy that much.
You know, I
It's
don't
got
think I've ever watched Chasing Amy.
It's funny, but it's not a very good movie.
Yeah.
Mallrats is very fun,
Dog-
but honestly, it's not a really good
Dogma's
movie.
his
I don't
best
like
movie.
Dogma.
Dude, I think
I don't like
Dogma's his best movie. Dude, I
See,
love that
and I
movie.
get that because I actually have a lot of friends that genuinely say the same thing. They think Dogma's his best movie. I don't really care for Dogma that
Well,
much. I think it's funny.
I think with Dogma, and Ken, you might have
monster. In it.
you. I know, but you might have better context. I think growing up religious makes Dogma funnier. Like if you grew up in a religious
you could
background,
be right.
yeah, and that movie is because it shits on fucking like George Carlin in that movie where he's like blessing his own fucking putter and shit like that because it's like a bishop or something like that, and so he blesses his putter so he'll putt better.
I
Shit
would
like that.
own a Buddy Christ though. Like,
I would too, dude. But you know what? That movie, I have a DVD copy of it somewhere. It's in one of those fucking movies that is stuck in Harvey Weinstein hell, and like will never it'll never get released again until that fucker dies and his estate sells.
Yeah.
So like, I don't. I honestly think that this movie was the first movie he made after maybe he made Red State. I don't know the timeline
He did Red State before he did this one.
but it was just like in that thing where I think I started watching Red State years ago when it was on Netflix and then like got distracted and never went back to it, and it was creepy.
Red State's okay. It doesn't feel like a Kevin Smith movie at all.
Dude, this movie doesn't feel like a Kevin Smith movie until Johnny Depp's on screen, and it just feels like a really bad Kevin Smith movie. Like
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't recognize him for quite a bit, and I was really confused as to who he was.
That's fair.
Dude.
I'm a Zach and Miri Make a Porno fan.
Oh, dude.
I love Zach and Miri Make a Porno. Can't you see we talking white?
Dude, the scene where the porn star just shits all over, or what was it?
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Ralph and I talk about that movie all the time. Plus
That's
it has Justin Long.
because I feel like Ralph likes to be
got
shit
Justin
on.
Long, and it's his best character.
Oh, dude, is he?
And
Saint
Ralph
Randy.
likes Kevin Smith, so
Yeah, isn't he the gay porn star?
Randy in there.
yes.
Yeah, he's the gay porn
Gay porn star
who
He
fucks
says, "Are you
Brandon
moving
Routh.
over?"
Yeah, he fucks Brandon Routh. Yeah, dude.
You wouldn't know me. You might know some of my work. You're not my clientele.
Who's your clientele? Are you gay?
It's
Yeah,
the thing
not
where
you.
I think that Justin Long is been in a lot of movies that like he just plays despicable really well. I mean, you were talking about Barbarian. Ken, Barbarian his character is very similar, and he's a sack of shit in this. Like
He's
that
the
one of
in this movie.
yeah, one of the things
He's
about
so good and stuff like he's just not that into you, or God, he's been in so much stuff where he just plays like the most down. Accepted. He did so great in Accepted.
Yeah, I like him in Accepted.
dude,
I like
he was
him
a
in Dodgeball too.
yeah. He was the best part of that.
I'm a Justin Long fan though. I like.
I am
Justin
too.
Long.
Yeah.
He's like one of my celebrity crushes.
Dude, he's the best part of fucking that shit show movie that he's in that I don't even want to say the name where he gets his eyeballs taken out at the end.
Jeepers Creepers.
I said I want to say it. Ken,
You
I
didn't
just-
say it. I said it for you.
I don't want you to say it either. I
We
hate
can
that
edit
fuck.
that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can cut that.
I would have to edit that. I
Just bleep me.
I only edit out things when I like offend people personally, like I did with Ken.
You don't edit out. You offend people.
Just be like, burp, burp, burp. That movie that Justin Long was in called burp, burp, burp.
Boop. Also, when I showed a dick on the podcast on accident, because I showed my dick with it. Yeah,
That
I
was
sh-
not
Dick
your
on the
dick. That was
podcast?
somebody else's dick.
it wasn't my dick, no, but it was a dick with a hat and cape and mustache, and that's what it was.
Oh, good God.
It was a fine gentleman dick, Brian. It was a fine gentleman. And then I don't know if Ken, you should go back and watch that episode because I put a animated cat gif over it while it was on the screen with like the eyes. It was like a sticker from my video editor. I was just like, no.
It
I-
works.
It's funny though, man. Like I was saying, I generally do think that this movie does a lot better than I thought it would. Like I think Haley Joel Osment and
so freaking cute. He's just
yeah.
like a cute little. I just want to be his friend too. I just want to be his friend. I want to.
Yeah.
I want to get him into playing video games, and I want to go hang out at conventions and just be buddies.
He was like
anything else from it. I just want to be a buddy.
He had to have been in his like mid to early 30s when this came out, right? Because this movie came out like what 15 years after Sixth Sense, and he was like what 11
Okay, Haley Joel Osment is
or late 20s.
36.
Okay, so then he was like 26 or like
26, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, he was like what 8 when Sixth Sense came out.
He was aging oddly, but he looks really good right now.
Yeah. He looks good in this. He was kind of overweight for a while when he popped up in something else. What was he in that he popped in? I don't know. Dude, one of my favorite episodes of What We Do in the Shadows is when he's the familiar for and like he gets electrocuted. Yeah, I love him. That episode is good.
I really need you all to know this just because I have to get it out there, even though you guys are not going to give a flying fuck about this. But there's all these rumors going around about A Court of Thorns and Roses as a TV show or a movie. And one of the actors that they were promoting or that they were pushing to be the lead star playing Rhysand, who's like one of the main guys, is Novak, the guy that plays in What We Do in the Shadows, Gilmore's guy.
Gilmore?
Not
Who's
Gilmore? Sorry, not
Guillermo?
Guillermo's guy. Like
his boyfriend that he has for an episode that fucks himself.
Vampire.
No, okay. Nandor.
Yeah, so the guy who plays Nandor, they're calling for him to play Rhysand, and they're like, this could be his Chris Pratt because he'd have to do a little bit of a glow up for it. Yeah, but he'd be so good at it.
Listen, that guy in his British accent is fucking hysterical because you're like, it doesn't even sound like the same dude. But yeah, fuck, I was gonna say something, and now my brain
went. Fucked it. Since you're thinking of that, the budget for this movie was $3 million. It only made $1.9 million at the box office.
I'm not surprised.
I mean, it didn't get he funded this thing through like crowdfunding, right? So like, I mean, it doesn't.
I think this was one of the movies that he did that with.
Yeah,
I think he did it with a couple of films.
I think he did Red State and this, and then or at least that's what started it.
Clerks 3 crowdfunding.
Yeah,
also, I believe.
Yeah. But man,
you might have did the Jay and Silent Bob reboot that way as well.
I think I actually like that movie, to be honest.
That's okay. It's okay. It's funny.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was great. It was Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Like it was like Evil Dead to Evil Dead 2. That was Jay and Silent Strike Back to the reboot kind of thing. It was like the same movie, just like which is funny, but yeah. But man, I sit there watching this and I'm like, there is so much going well, and then he just horror comedy, man, there's that whole thing where horror and comedy are so similar, right? And because they require timing and all that shit. Yeah. And it just goes when he's trying to be creepy in this movie, like what's his name? Michael Clark, you said? The guy Parks, who plays the killer. Generally pretty creepy, and he does that thing where he's telling those stories and like go ahead, Brian.
Unnerving.
Yeah,
he's a pretty good actor because he's the creepy fucking
pastor in Red State too.
In Red State.
Yeah,
and he was really good in that.
Yeah,
he was really good in that movie. And he's good in this. Like he's good in this.
Oh, he's good in it's him and Justin Long when they're on the screen together is generally pretty good. I will say, though, that there's the things that fall apart with this movie. One, that Waller's costume is fucking... I mean, obviously, you couldn't do this, especially with a $3 million budget. I don't know how you would have done this and made it not look insane.
When he stood up in that walrus costume, I, freaked.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
when he fucking does it, he looks like a turtle popping head out at one point where his head's like, and it's just like, I was like, oh God, that suit. And it looks like they got the costume at Spirit Halloween besides his face. His face looks good. Like his face is the best part of that costume. But I don't know if I remember like the first time watching this, like watching all the body pieces like on the fucking walrus costume. And I was trying to figure out, I'm like, according to Johnny Depp, he's killed, what was it, 23 people? I think is what the number he said. In the
exact number.
I think he said 20. I think he says 23, and then he goes, "Oh, and if he got him, it's gonna be 24." And I'm just like, there's like noses and ears, and I'm like, so is he like? I was trying to figure it out. It's like is he Buffalo Billing and like sewing these people together and then like dry tanning them, because there's way more than 23 people worth of fucking flesh in these movies. Because one, there's another walrus costume on the bottom of the pool. Two, his walrus costume and Michael Parks' walrus costume. That's at least 3 fucking full-size walrus costumes. And I'm like, he killed how many people? Is that just the ones that got reported, or the ones that like, or another theory is he tried to turn 23 people into walruses, and he's really killed like 100 people. Is he really killed like way more people? But like, where are the bodies for that? Like, has he just like gotten rid of it? I'm throwing out the theory that this motherfucker killed like 1,000 people, not 1,000 people, like 100 people, and only got rid of the bodies that were his failures. But that I still don't know why he left the one on the bottom of that pool, and that pool, which is still cleaner than the pool that poor Justin Long, the walrus, had at the end. Why? It was
what was that about?
It was this.
Like, was that like Rosie the Shark's tank before they got her out and treated her? Like, what the fuck?
They have that sad little like half deflated beach ball. The water looks like the fucking oil spill's been in it, and he's got that sad little. Okay, one. No animal sanctuary is gonna keep a dude that thinks he's a walrus as a sideshow like attraction. Most in a movie with ridiculous things, that is the most unbelievable part in the whole film. But I was like, you guys are keeping this motherfucker as an attraction, and you can't even keep his little pool clean. You pieces of shit. You can't even keep his pool clean. Bullshit. Walrus man, the man who's turning people into walruses, at least has the respect to keep his pool clean. I think it was also kind of cute in a very disgusting way, where he's like walking around naked with him in the pool. It looked kind of sensual, like he's gonna let's walrus fuck.
It feels sensual to me. It felt like a father trying to teach his child how to swim or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was really weird. This is just a side note. I don't know if you guys know this. I found this a second ago. Apparently, the whole idea for Tusk was stemmed from a podcast episode.
Yeah.
Just a random podcast. And then
it was one of the Smodcast episodes.
Yeah. They go
like a week later, there was a tweet of a script, and they were just like, "Yep, we're gonna do it."
Yeah, I don't know if you know about him. He travels and records them and releases them and like does these live performances and stuff. And this was, as I stated earlier, after Cop Out, after Zack and Miri, because it was Zack and Miri where he worked with Seth Rogen for the first time, and Seth Rogen got him to start smoking weed again. And then he got really fat and had a heart attack, and then now he's like weirdly shaped Kevin Smith now, where he's like. His head's bigger than the rest of his body, and yeah, that's why it says at the end it even has the podcast number on it and shit, Ken.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was that was the episode of this thing that like his high ass, him and Scott Mosley did that.
Yeah. So honestly, we could really actually blame Kevin Smith fans for the existence of this movie if you really want to, because when they released the episode. Whether it was called The Walrus and the Carpenter is the name of the episode.
Yeah.
And they said, well, they spent like an hour talking about how they would basically reconstruct the story and do it this way and whatnot. They said tweet out walrus yes or walrus no if you want the movie, and of course the fucking Kevin Smith Uber fans like a fucking cult. They all were like, yes, please give us this fucking movie.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks to the Kevin Smith fans.
Yeah.
But without, that is a good looking mustache that Justin Long has in this movie.
Dude, it looks like it looks. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of
like a walrus before the walrus suit.
Yeah.
With that mustache.
Yeah. So I don't know if I caught this the last time or I just fucking completely downgraded it out of my brain because this movie made me angry the first time. So he cuts their legs off and then turns their leg bones into tusks, which you can see him sharpening at that one point. And also, one of the best scenes in the fucking movie is when Justin Long wakes up and he's in the wheelchair and he's just like, that's incredibly creepy because it looks a little weird. And he finally pulls off the thing and his leg's gone. But I'm like, oh, and he's sitting there carving the leg bone into a tusk. And you're like, oh. And why? I don't know. Did either one of you guys understand why he was talking about there being a hole in the roof of their mouth? Was that like some walrus thing? I was trying to figure out what the fuck that was about.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Johnny Depp was talking about it when or the cop somebody was talking about it. Like maybe it was the cop. The dorky Canadian cop that was like, oh yeah, there was a piece of his tibia in his roof of his mouth is kind of like the sentence that was kind of giving it off. Also, I don't know if you two recognize the YouTube guy that was the Canadian custodian or the export, the guy taking his paperwork when he was going into Canada at the beginning of the movie. He was from that.
That's Harley from Epic Mealtime.
Yeah, Epic Mealtime. Yeah. The one who's talking about when you're Canadian, you're never blue.
And then that was on his shirt.
Yeah.
Hey, side note, did you know that this movie was shot in 15 days?
That does.
I bet you 10 of those days were Justin Long in that walrus suit because that thing probably took fucking hours to get into. And
the majority of the budget was used to obtain the rights to the song Tusk by Fleetwood Mac.
The more and more I find out about the way they made the less surprised I am that this movie's not very good.
Oh wow! Yeah.
It was a long shot for a premise like this to be good. But at its very core, it is entertaining.
Yeah.
It is very entertaining. Justin Long's great in it. Michael Parks is great in it.
Yeah. I even think the girlfriend and all the scenes with her and are great. Those two sell everything, and it's just you just have some things like the walrus costume and Johnny Depp tanks his movie harder than he tanked his own acting career. That's how badly he tanks his movie. I'm like, Kevin, couldn't you have told him to not act like a fucking Looney Tune villain?
The majority of his lines were improv.
Looney Tune. Were they really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
A
lot of things make it sound real. I'm telling you.
It's not even the lines. It's that accent that is just so fucking bad. You're like, dude, what the fuck are you even doing? Him telling a story about finding the lines and just and then the other thing about this movie, when he goes, what kind of American are you? Because he didn't want the gun. And then Joel is just the kind who's never shot a gun. It's just and I don't know. The ending of this movie is so sad. When the Haley and what do you call her go see him at his little walrus park and just he's like, how about the tree? And you kind of know what it is. It's the fish she's gonna give him, and you're just and then he cries, and it's just it actually has that legitimate I don't. It's that thing where fucking Justin Long's character is so fucking like you just like, oh, this guy sucks donkey dick the entire movie, and like he flashes back to like he's like only babies cry, and it's just like, oh god, this guy is the fucking worst. But you know what? I'm like I don't know. It's one of those things where you like this guy's the worst, but you go, he doesn't deserve to be turned into a fucking human walrus.
No.
Yeah.
No, he's a shitbag, but he's not that big of a shit.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like him in Barbarian, where you're like, this guy's a shitbag,
He was
and
the worst person in Barbarian. Anyway.
yeah. Well, I mean, they never confirm it, but like they pretty much go, yeah, he's a rapist. Like is the thing that like they kind of bounce around.
Barbarian?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
He was a piece of shit in that movie.
Yeah, but like you're like he's way worse in this. But I mean that than he is in this, and it's just like he didn't deserve to be turned into a giant human walrus. I don't know, man. It's like the there is generally I think he did a lot of things well for such an insane concept, but just man, it was like every time he got a chance, he shot himself in the dick with like stupid things like Johnny Depp being insane and like
maybe this didn't need to be a horror comedy.
no, I think if you would have left it a fucking like a horror movie, it would have been like because I was saying, it's creepy. Michael Parks
Yeah.
The premise is very creepy. It's
I
very
think Johnny
fucking...
Depp's. Sorry, I think that he ruins the movie. Like,
Yeah.
100%. Because I think
I
that was
agree
supposed to be
completely.
the comedy, like the heavy-handed comedy, and it was unnecessary. The little bits here and there were great. His whole thing was just bullshit.
Yeah. It takes a movie where you have a creepy atmosphere, even though it's a little ridiculous. I mean, it's a lot ridiculous. And he just like he throws off the entire vibe of that movie with his fucking insanity. I'm like, I don't actually honestly know if I can think of another movie where one actor ruins it as badly as Johnny Depp ruins this movie. And I know you could say, I know how much you love Edward Furlong in Terminator 2, but but
Fuck that kid. I can't stand John Connor.
It makes me
About
laugh.
to put a smile on my face like the beginning of fucking the latest Terminator movie.
Dark Tide or whatever the fuck it's called.
Bastard.
Yeah.
Fucking shithead.
I never saw that movie, dude. I was like,
The
okay,
newest one.
no, I haven't.
It's really good. It's really good.
You just like it because they shoot Edward Furlong
No,
and
I'm telling you, yes and no, yes.
I know why you like.
Genuinely
Yeah,
good.
dude.
It is very good. Dark
And-
Fate is what it was called.
Yeah.
Terminator Dark Fate. Yeah.
I was-
Genuinely a very good movie.
I was watching something on YouTube the other day, and it was someone talking about how Terminator need to go back to its like horror roots. I'm like, yeah, as I've said on this podcast, and I'll say it again, Terminator the original is a slasher, and I get this is the defense I get from people who aren't horror people, who are like casual horror people, Brian. But he doesn't use a knife. I'm just,
I hate
dude,
all those people that say things
I'm like, have you ever seen the movie Maniac Cop? Probably not, because like no sane person outside of like the fucking 1980 whatever year that isn't a horror insane person like us has watched Maniac Cop, even with Bruce Campbell in it. You have to have a Shudder subscription and just be like looking through random shit and then like I'm gonna put on Maniac Cop, which is why I've watched Mary Lou 2 Prom Night 2. Yeah, the same fucking reasons.
That's the new title, by the way. From now on, we are calling it Mary Lou 2 Prom Night.
But it's the same. It's the kind of thing. It's like I'm like it follows all the fucking the genre things of a slasher movie. You have an unstoppable killing machine who can't like going after one person and like killing a bunch of people in the way to get like to it. It's just like Halloween.
It's a slasher, man.
Yeah.
It's got some noir elements to it.
Yeah.
It's got some sci-fi elements to it. It's got slasher. It's a slasher movie. It's
Yeah.
just like Alien. Alien 1 is a fucking slasher.
Yeah, it's Alien's the one where it's like it's a slasher / monster movie because it's like that genre thing where it's like if it was a human, it would be a slasher thing for sure, and with the monster, it's like that got the slasher formula with a monster. Yeah, but I don't know. It's that thing where like I don't know. I think when Terminator comes back I think when Alien Romulus fucking annihilates the box office in August, because I think it's going to, because people want a good Alien movie.
I can't wait. I'm really excited.
Dude, that movie. Ken, you are driving 2.5 hours for Alien Romulus because we're doing that on this podcast in August.
I think August, yeah.
August.
Are we going to talk about it when it
Oh,
comes
yes,
out?
we will, because I want to. That
I'm
movie is.
excited to see it
Yeah.
when it comes out.
Yeah, dude. Ken is like, I don't know what you're talking about. Ken's like 2.5 hours, Ken.
I don't have a car to drive 2.5 hours right now, so.
Fine. I will record it on my cell phone and send you it, Ken.
Okay.
I will send you it.
I will suffer through that for you. Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, yes.
You know,
I wouldn't actually do that.
allegedly.
We would just find one online that someone was. We were not going to actually break the law. We're going to let someone else do it, and we'll be fine. Yeah. No, I honestly think that going into this film, like I think that you take two things. You take any expectations out, like I did for this, and then you separate your initial viewing for long enough. It is easier to have an open-eyed viewing of a film like this. And I generally think that there is a lot that is likable in this film. Like I said, way more than I thought the first time.
I don't disagree with that.
It's just you take an hour and 40-minute movie and you just throw in 10 minutes of Johnny Depp being the most cartoon villain. Like he should be like twirling a fake mustache and tying a woman and like onto a railroad track, like a Dudley Do-Right villain or some shit like that. It's amazing watching how badly this dude is just like wrecks this fucking film, man. I wonder, is there a fan edit of this film? Someone's just taken all the Johnny Depp scenes out of it, because that would probably
that'd be
That would be
glorious,
great
wouldn't it?
with just like a white text box or like white text on a black box. It's like, after meeting with so and so, this is what we learned. Blah blah blah.
I-
And just
Yeah,
a
you could
summary of
insert
that interaction.
exposition just on a blank screen with like some silly music playing.
dude, I have to say too, another thing that I thought while watching that scene in the diner where they're eating. What is the number one film like rule? Show, don't tell. And they just have Johnny Depp sitting there dropping this
Telling.
it's just telling
Telling.
yeah, and it's just like, Jesus, Kevin, you've been making movies. He'd been making movies for
Long time.
like 20 something years at that point. Like it was like 21 years or something. He'd made a good number of movies, and I was like, that's a big old boo boo. But Johnny Depp, and I budget and I don't know whatnot, but yeah, I don't know, man. Oh,
Like I said, it didn't cost much to make.
no,
And it made less.
yeah.
So.
Well, it didn't get. I wonder how much of it was him touring and shit like that, and doing it with his Smodcast thing. It wasn't like it got like regular distribution, so
It was a wide release.
not for very long.
No, of course not. We went and saw it.
Yeah,
But,
no one.
yeah.
Dude, I didn't watch it until after, like when it was on
This is his
DVD.
First wide release since Cop Out.
I mean, I think there was only one film in between, or did Zack and Miri got a wide release?
Right? Zack and Miri got a wide release.
Yeah,
Cop
and
Out
that was.
came out way after Zack and Miri make a
Did it?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I don't
Let's
know.
go to the Kevin Smith filmography on the Wikipedia. Let's see.
Let's see.
You're probably gonna get there before I am. Ken, the master of fucking
Google Foo.
Google food. Yeah.
No,
Can't
because it doesn't
Cop
have.
Out. Yeah, Cop Out came
yeah.
out after Zack and Miri, then Red State, then Jay and Silent Bob's super groovy cartoon movie,
Yeah.
then Tusk.
So I mean, it was Cop Out was his last like studio film, and that was like, And it was like the first time a studio let him do something that he didn't
So
write.
really, yeah, you're right. Red State was the only movie between Cop Out and Tusk,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, and that was his an indie horror thing, which he did.
It's
Dude,
better
again.
than this.
Well, yeah, and I need to. He also had John Goodman in that movie, and John Goodman's always amazing.
John
So.
Goodman's awesome.
Dude,
Man.
him in Cloverfield Lane
It was
is.
so good.
You're like, does this movie need to be a Cloverfield movie? No, but I don't care because John Goodman is fucking amazing, and who also now has got the Kevin Smith thing where he's a fat guy who lost all his weight and his head looks weird on his body, and he looks like a Buddy Christ / like a Fallout doll. Like he's like, what looks wrong with this guy? Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Okay, Brian, you got to get out of here in a second. So we should wrap up. What?
I got a few minutes still.
Okay, cool. We can wrap up. But yeah. Okay, let's. Ken, your final thoughts on Tusk, since this is all your fault.
Fine, I'll take it as my fault, but whatever. I personally think that it's great. I did not know about it like being a concept that was from a podcast that just got thrown into production. I think that's really cool. I think if you've got the money to throw around, you got nothing else going on, you want to dick off with your friends, cool. I think absolutely agree with you that had they taken all of Johnny Depp's parts out completely and just did like even just a black and white summary text, like it would have made the movie a million times better. There definitely were some moments where Justin Long's character was over the top, but I think it was definitely done with purpose. It did freak out some people that I was watching it with. They did find it extremely disturbing, so it did serve that purpose as well. So I thought it was good. I think if you're gonna watch something that's ridiculous, maybe give it a shot, but don't expect anything amazing.
I just think if you have any expectations going into this film, it's not a good idea, is like I say. Brian, you.
I agree with almost every single thing that Ken said. Actually, it's got redeeming qualities in it. There's some good performances in this movie. Like Michael Park's really good in it. Justin Long's good in everything. I agree. Like if Johnny Depp is so fucking incredibly distracting, and he kills the vibe every time he shows up on screen. This movie needed to be just straight up horror movie with comedic elements in it, which most horror movies fucking have anyway. If they would have just made a straight up horror film and axed the whole Looney Tune villain as you describe him, because it's very accurate, I think the movie would have had a more clear identity.
Yeah.
If that,
you could have done like
probably a lot of the problem when you're watching this movie is that it feels like it doesn't really know what it is sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I've seen far worse.
Oh yeah.
I've seen worse by Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
So,
dude, Yoga Hosers.
So yeah,
I was gonna say
Yoga Hosers came after this, and that's the fucking worst movie.
If you would have just kept him and Johnny Depp's daughters as like the comic relief and the silly little scenes like that, it would have been fine.
That's my thought.
That would have been fine.
Yeah.
That was my thought.
Because it was just them making fun of him. It wasn't that over the top thing. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I generally, like I said, I was going into this with less than zero expectations because I hated it so bad the first time. And I generally think that this movie, this is like a gold nugget that someone has shit all over. Like there is like a generally pretty good little horror movie in here that like Johnny Depp like shat all over that, like, and that's not the only problem, but that's like, it's like 97% Johnny Depp bullshit and the rest is high Kevin Smith that like shit that's on top. And so those are the things that you're just like, oh, okay. But I was impressed with like, it was like, oh, this is Kevin Smith making a Kevin Smith movie. Just, I honestly don't think he knew how to work with Johnny Depp. Didn't know how to tell him no. Didn't tell him how to like, yeah. And didn't have a time to do it with his budget. Like Ken said, 15 days. So, okay. What are we gonna do next week? Any ideas? I don't have any right now.
Prom Night 2. We can watch Hello Mary Lou 2, Prom Night 2. Your new favorite horror movie.
Okay.
I always want to watch that movie.
I know you do. And that's why I'm sitting there going, what is your... If I don't just go and say yes, you're going to keep suggesting it every week until we do.
No, not necessarily, but yeah.
But yes, okay. We will watch Mary Lou 2 Prom Night 2 next week, aka Prom Night 2, Mary Lou Sue, the ghost boo who knew you, whatever.
Cindy
That
Lou
shit.
Who.
Yep. Okay. All those things, we'll watch that. And then I'm all like, I'm not potentially like going and ruining what the week is afterward. I'm thinking about finally doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. But
Yeah.
the other thing,
Yes.
okay,
Sorry.
we'll do that in 2 weeks. Fine. We'll even,
It's the best one in the franchise.
dude, it's my favorite. I
Not
fucking
bad.
love it. The first movie, Brian,
Wait, you dog. Sorry.
the first movie Ken ever came on this podcast for was Motel Hell. So, which is,
I love that movie.
it is wild. Yeah, it
It's
is.
one of my
That
favorites.
was fantastic.
Yep.
I have
Can
a
you
theatrical poster from the movies when it released, but it's like folded, unfortunately. But I've got it framed. It's beautiful.
I gotta send you that Brandon Tennell guy that I told you about that I watch his YouTube. He has a Motel Hell video review, and I think you might love it. So, yeah. Okay, we'll do Mary Lou 2, Little Boo, that knew what she boo who shoe Prom Night 2 next week, and then we'll do twos. We'll do twos 2 weeks in a row. You see,
Fantastic.
okay, Ken, your plugs.
Continue.com, KINTINUE, twitch.tv/continue, fansly.com app, what the fuck ever, continue. Live every day except for Saturday, as long as my internet's not being a shit. And starting Oxygen Not Included. Come back, seat me.
Yep.
Yay.
Okay, Brian.
You can catch me here and on the We're Gonna Make You Watch podcast. The next episode that we are actually getting ready to record, we are talking about The Fog.
Please, for the love of sweet baby Jesus, tell me you're doing the John Carpenter version. Please.
Of course.
Please.
Everyone does
I'm having PTSD from watching. Dude, that is one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen.
The
And
only thing good about that movie is that it doesn't last forever.
yeah, Brandon Routh in it though. It wasn't Brandon Routh.
Brandon
was in
Routh
that?
ain't in that movie, man.
Or is it who's in that movie?
The other Superman.
The other Superman. Yeah, that's what it is. It's Tom Holland. Okay. I knew it was a Superman. Okay. And I am Rod_Johnson on Twitch and Twitter. You can follow me there. And Instagram, I think. And then my book will be in the links for this. So you can go buy my book off of Amazon. So, yeah, do all those things. And we will catch you guys next week for Mary to Lou Boo, the shoe who knew woo Prom Night 2. Woo! Bye!
Bye.